hard because you don't have to go through 4 holes. It's only going through 2, but it could still be tricky to get through. And let me see if I'm lined up here. Look, it is. Going to take it out of the shot, push it in. A little better. Bring it back in. Got it all the way through. So I'll take my handy dandy cutters here, and I will cut it to where I want it to be cut. I already cut the other one to line it up with the thumb, and that's going to be a pain to cut. You can see that. So we'll cut that, and now that that's on, works, got a good range of motion. Now I'm going to try and put a progressive linked thumb on the model. So let's get to it. We have a piece right here that's going to go all the way through to the other side, which fits perfectly. Get the bucket back. Pull that out, and then I have a linkage here. It's from one of my 330s or one of the 336s that I made a custom out of, and you'll see it in the update. I'll update more on it, and then have the thumb mount smaller cylinders for the 320, and then I have this bigger one for this model, and then got another piece of brass. Gotta line this up or make sure it's the right cylinder. Yep, it's the right cylinder. Put that up. Put that on. Oop, fell out there. Put it on like this. Get it lined up. Bring it back. Bring it down. And then I have my 2 dog bone linkages. My 2 dog bone linkages here, or whatever they're really called. I'm not real sure. And then I think the cylinder might be a little too big for this model to do this. So we might end up scratching this progressive link thumb, just making it a normal thumb. But as long as it doesn't interfere with the motion, then we should be all good. Oh, putting that back through the hole. I think if we want it to be progressive linked, it's going to have to be up there, which looks about right. And then hold it back, and then it should theoretically follow the bucket almost all the way back. And yeah, I think this will work. Get the dog bones on to make sure, or whatever they're called. Again, I'm not really specific with these. Just pop those on. A lot harder than it looks. Get that on. Try to pound it through. It's being a pain. Not really working. Okay. Got one side on. Re-put that through. Re-hook up the cylinder. Make sure that's on the right side of the model. Hook that up. Push it through again. And then come to the other side of the model. Push that back through. This will all be glued in. I'm just making sure it's all going to work first before I actually glue it. Put that on, and then bring it around. And then I'll have to drill out one more rivet on this one in particular. And then push it back in. Bring it up to here. And then we'll flip the dog bone linkages around if they want to. And it should connect like that. Okay. So get that off. Got to drill one more rivet out. Shouldn't be too hard. And drill it right. That right right there. Just get some more brass here. Oh, gotta cut a little piece off of there. Cut that. That's all we're gonna need about right there. And then we'll put the brass through here to hook up the dog bone linkages too. And then after we're done with that, we'll get her all nice and glued in. So I gotta rehook up everything once again. Make sure it all works and fits and everything before I do the final gluing. So get that out. Slide a piece of brass through this one end of the dog bone linkages, or the linkage. Slide the piece of brass through there. If I can get it, it's kind of hard to do. And then, sorry if I'm blocking the shot. I'm not meaning to, just it's a little hard to do. And then we'll get this end on and hooked up to there. So that's what it will look like. That's what it's going to be looking like. Somewhat what it will look like. Might have to cut a little bit bigger of a piece of brass to make it fit a little better. And that like that. Bring that up to here. And that's what it should look like when it's done. Oh, like that right there is what it should look like. So now that we have that, time to bust out my friend. I use a 2-part epoxy here. Got it from a local hobby store, and I put it on a piece of wood here, and then I put the hardener down, or the epoxy first. It's a 5-minute cure epoxy, so I mean, once you mix them together, it takes a couple minutes to set. It's not instant. Sorry about that. And then put the hardener on. You gotta put equal amounts on, otherwise you're gonna have a bad mixture. Now that that's done, move the 320 out of the way for a second. 323 out of the way. Then I just use a nail to mix it. Mix it really good. Mix it for a couple of seconds here and there. Let it bond and become thick, so it'll cure. Want to mix it well, otherwise I've had it sometimes where I've mixed it well and it takes a couple hours to dry, and it should only take about 10 minutes to fully cure and an hour to completely dry. But other than that, that is done right there. And the first part I'm going to do is I got to reline up this part to get that through, and I'm gluing that part in first, because that is the one that likes to fall out a lot when you do these. So, a little too much. I'm just going to use a piece of scrap rivet. Dab the end of that sucker right there. And then I'll flip the model around and dab that same end. And then next thing I'll do is I'll pull the dog bone nice and tight. And then I'll just use a rivet. And then apply some epoxy under there, so it's nice and tight. And then break my cutter out here and cut the last piece of brass off, and then come over to here and dab it with some epoxy. I don't think I had any on there. Dab that with some epoxy. And then, hang on, I'm gonna see if I could get these dog bones to better link. If that's the best I can get them. If that is, then that's fine with me. Get those how I like them. Sorry if you can't see it. And then get that all nice and glued. so that the brass doesn't fall out when you're moving it around. Get that nice, put a nice amount of glue on there, and then I will try to push it through. I won't touch that actually, I'll let that dry like that. And then finally, on the thumb mounting part itself, you want to put not so much on there. I just put a little too much on there. Grab my file here and take that, move it up to the position you want it, which is about right there is where I want it, and then let it cure. Hold it there for a couple minutes. Sorry, this video might be a little long because the stuff does take a little while to dry. It's not something that dries instantly, so bear with me here. And then hopefully that will stay on there. And then we could possibly move to the next one. While that is drying, and hopefully use the same epoxy. I don't have to mix more. Push that over to where I like it, and right there, E330 is done.